Hey guys, Phil/Polygon here. Welcome to part 15 in a Purist's Guide to Character Building, aka Journey's End, man. Been a long time coming. Let's wrap this thing up. So we have slain Seath the Scaleless, betrayer of his dragon kin. And we have slain Nito, first of the dead, top brass and the Gravelord Covenant servant. We have slain the Bed of Chaos, used to be the Witch of Izalith, and we have slain the Four Kings, corrupted rulers of the once great city of the undead. Took all of their souls, plopped them in our Lord Vessel, and just unlocked the Kiln of the First Flame. This is where we're going to take on Gwyn, and ultimately take our girl into NG+. First, there's a couple of loose ends to tie up. I'm going to knock those out just in an abbreviated form, and then burn through the Kiln. What's up, Knight? You're not moving very fast. That's why you got burned by Dragonfire. Here we go. Alright, let's tie up those loose ends one by one. So calling back to episode 13, where we took on the Bed of Chaos, there was nothing for our girl down in Lost Izalith, so I fed a whopping 30 humanity to the Chaos Servants to unlock a shortcut that allowed me to bypass the Fire Sage, the Centipede Demon, and just kind of blaze through, take on the Witch. At the time I mentioned, you know what, that's pretty expensive, I'm gonna have to go back into the Tomb of Giants and farm some skeleton babies. Here's me. Farming my skeleton babies, doing my figure eights and bashing and slashing and poking all of these bone children. Great source of humanity. I spent about 20-25 minutes down here just infinitely spawning. Put about 82 back in my stock. I didn't go all the way to 99 because I just frankly got bored and I was like, yeah, I'm going to play NG Plus anyway, and there's plenty of humanity to be picked up there. Another option for this would have been to go down into the Chasm of the Abyss. The spirits down there are a probably better source of humanity in terms of their drop rate, but I like coming here because the skeleton babies infinitely spawn. You don't have to mess with going back to the bonfire, running back and forth. You can just kind of blaze through it. As long as you're pretty quick to pick up those fragments they drop, no trouble. Other thing I wanted to do, pick up my Darkmoon Talisman. Man, I've been talking about the Darkmoon Talisman pretty much for the entire series, saying, oh yeah, with my 50 faith and my Crown of Dusk and my Ring of the Sun's Firstborn and my Darkmoon Talisman, my miracles are gonna hit like a truck. So why then did I wait until the absolute last minute to pick it up? Well, it's because I didn't need it until this point. At present, our girl has 40 faith. At 40 faith, the Darkmoon Talisman has a measly single extra point in terms of its damage scaling compared to the regular ass Canvas Talisman we've been using the whole time. The Canvas Talisman has a flat magical adjustment, does not scale. But moving into NG+, I plan on finishing off those last couple of levels, going up to 50 faith, and that is where you really start to see the Darkmoon Talisman shine, between 40 and 50. Another thing I want to do with this character is join up with the Darkwraiths before I set foot in NG+. Pretty convenient because we placed the Lord Vessel with Kath, so we gotta head down to the Abyss anyways to warp to the Lord Vessel and all that jazz, but way back, I don't even remember when, I was talking about if you're going to take a character through 2 cycles, it's convenient to join up with Kath the first time, get access to the Darkwraiths, get access to your unlimited use invasion item, the Red Eye Orb, and then join up with Frampt on your second playthrough so you can take advantage of his feeding him items and breaking down upgrade materials and all the benefits that he provides. In order for that to work, just kind of doing the math, you have to be a Darkwraith first, right? Because you can, Kath and Frampt are exclusive to each other. You can only place the vessel with one of them and the other will be gone from that cycle for the remainder of the playthrough. So in order to get Frampt the second time, gotta go Kath the first time, and you have to be a Darkwraith going into it because you won't be able to join up with them. So we find ourselves in the Kiln. Pretty cool area, pretty small area, not a lot here. There's a couple of random humanity items laying around, a couple of random soul items just scattered about. The Black Knight set is here, but our girl doesn't have a use for it. So we are just gonna blaze through this, ignore all the knights, ignore most of the scenery, and head straight for Gwyn. The scenery is kind of cool, man. This whole place is just a ruined battlefield covered in ash. This is actually the setting from where the battle between Gwyn and his lot took on the Everlasting Dragons way back in the day to usher in the Age of Fire, when the Witch of Izalith burned away their scales and actually make them vulnerable. She destroyed their home as well. They made their home in the trees. Nice little piece of lore there. Nice little clip from our Black Knight friend. Caught me with a dead angle. Enemies can dead angle. Little history lesson for Lordran there. That's what the Kiln is. That's where Gwyn has been hanging out this entire time. And speaking of the Knights, these guys are a phenomenal source of chunks, especially some of the more rare chunks. Good God, that guy's right on my ass. Blocking the camera. Some of the more rare chunks, the blue and the white and the red. These last couple of nights have 100% drop rates for all of those things. So if you didn't want to go back to the Tomb of Giants or didn't want to go back and mess with crystal golems in the Duke's archives or anything like that, you could come here, spawn these, or kill these infinitely spawning Black Knights and take their drops and max out any weapons you might have along the way. Old cheeseball Gwyn. Let's talk Gwyn. Now, I think from a lore perspective, Gwyn is actually pretty cool, just as a character. Sired by Allfather Lloyd, supreme deity, brought about the Age of Fire by taking out the dragons, built the beautiful city of Anorlando to kind of rule all that he surveyed. I think he's kind of a cool dude. As a final boss, he is a chump, primarily based on the fact that you can parry and riposte him. I think I remember reading something from the developers. They were saying that they wanted Gwyn as the final boss to be able to test everything that you have learned along the way, and they wanted players to be able to take him out using whatever playstyle they wanted. Be it casting, be it cunning, be it straight melee. So for whatever reason, he's the only boss in the game that you can parry and riposte. And of course, that is the only thing anybody ever does to him. His timing can be a little bit tricky. He swings fast, especially on his opening swing, but man, his setup parry timing is so predictable and so easy to do. So even if you're a little bit sloppy like I am, I haven't fought him in a long time, if you have a slight semblance of when you're supposed to parry against this guy, he is no problem. And there we go. Thus ends Gwyn. Very little resistance. We get his soul for our troubles. We could actually take that into NG Plus and trade it to the Sun Bros to get a Sunlight Spear, which I think is the most powerful offensive miracle in the game. I think it actually does out damage a maxed out Wrath of the Gods by a little bit. Probably because it does lightning damage versus magic damage, but you gotta be a Sun Bro to cast it. We don't need it. I'm gonna get a little bit lost in this chamber too. It's kind of like, oh my god, I got turned around during the boss fight. Where's the damn exit? I want to take the dark path. But that will do it. Our character is good to go. We got all the gear that we need. We ran through a little checklist before going into NG Plus to think about what's easier to do now that we can warp around willy-nilly before we head into a new cycle and lose all of our keys and lose the ability to warp. All we got left is PvP in front of us and topping off those last couple of levels. We'll let the little end game play out. I did want to talk about this a little bit though, because potentially a lot of the things that I did over the course of this playthrough could be considered moot, right? Like I was talking about leaving Priscilla alive to keep the Painted World of Ariamis a active PvP spot. I kept Manus alive so that I could go fight in the Township, which is a pretty hoppin' PvP place. If I'm gonna go to NG+, why did I even bother with that? Well, I did do some stuff off camera. I did a little bit of PvP off camera, a little bit of farming off camera in some of those locations. And if you weren't gonna take a character to NG+, you would do the same thing with the Kiln. Simply leave Gwyn alive, warp anywhere in the world, you've got some active PvP zones, and you'd be good to go. Got an achievement for it too. Stupid Steam, man. Wiped out all of my achievements. Wonder what that was about. Apparently that's the first time we've ever beaten Dark Souls. So we could have called it before this episode even started and said like, alright, we're PvP ready. Gear, miracles, setup. Let's just do this thing. And that's absolutely valid. I kind of wanted to bring it to a close too. And from the very beginning, I planned on taking this girl into NG+. And it puts a nice little bookend on this series. Long pause. So what did I miss? What did I get wrong? This was kind of a quick one. Just a quick tryst through the Kiln, take out Gwyn, advance to NG+. I'm going to call it there, even though this one is a little bit short. And I just wanted to say thank you again to everybody who watched this series. I actually recorded a little bit of a personal thank you, so I'm going to pop up in the lower right here on Facecam in just a second. If you don't want to see what I look like, you don't like face cams, any of that jazz, know that it is just a sincere thank you to anybody that checked this thing out and participated in it along the way. We'll catch you soon. And we'll cut to it now. Hi guys, Phil/Polygon here. Sorry to bust in on you like this at the end of the video, but I am absolutely bursting with positivity for a couple of reasons, so let's talk about it. So for one, we finished this thing, man. A Purist guide to character building has been completed. And as a result, we have a PvP ready build that we put together from scratch in the original Dark Souls Excelsior. It feels really good. Hooray, accomplishments. Thanks for that. Two, I wanted to give a personal thank you to anybody who checked this thing out, especially those people that peeped it back in the day and then maybe came back after the 2-year hiatus. People that checked it out with the new stuff and kind of followed along. Thank you so much. And I'm really tickled with how this thing turned out. So I wanted to give a huge thanks to the people who participated in the back and forth with the comments and the conversation, because I think there's a lot of great information. Everybody that corrected me when I got shit wrong, or everybody saying, hey, did you ever consider this? Did you ever consider that? I think there's a wealth of good information out there, and I'm really proud to have this thing on the channel. It seems so cheesy to say, oh, it's great because of you, but seriously, it's great because of you. So thank you so much for that. And three, this series will always hold a very special place in my heart because circa episode 12, between episode 12 and 13, accounting for some of the schedule weirdness, my daughter was born. So it's just filled with warm fuzzies. I'm so glad I got to share that point of my life and replaying Dark Souls, building a character, finishing the series. It's just a wonderful time. We'll embarrass the hell out of her too. In the event that she grows up to get into games and finds retro gaming appealing, happens upon Dark Souls, is looking up information on YouTube, if that's still a thing. So many ifs. Hey, Pippa. Daddy loves you. Aww. Dad. That's a guaranteed dislike at the end of the video. Did I put you in an old monk cosplay 2 weeks into your existence? Abso-fucking-lutely. Anyways, thanks again. I'm not sure what's next for the channel in terms of projects. We'll probably get back to some of the PvP stuff. Dark Souls 3 is really close on the horizon, and I'm getting really stoked for that despite my best efforts to keep it even keel. Plenty of Souls content still to come. I've got some other things. Maybe we'll do some one-offs or 3-shots like we did with Final Fantasy way back. Who's to say? Anyways, thank you again in all sincerity, and we will see you soon. Bye.